From WNDU, Weather Authority Mike Hoffman has your Storm Team 16 forecast.
Boy, we've had wind damage reports out of Pulaski County, especially Maderryville, Fulton County, around Rochester, but it seems like the worst that we've seen so far is where our own Brandon Lewis is. Stark County Regional Airport in Knox, a hangar was destroyed. This is one of the planes that was caught under that. Another plane, I'm not sure if this was inside or outside the building to start, but this is the building itself. An estimated 70-mile-per-hour winds caused this, but this building is supposed to be right here as well. So this whole thing was pretty much destroyed at the Stark County Airport. So it was a nasty morning in some areas. For most of us, though, it was another nice soaking rain. 74/100ths of an inch, South Bend Regional Airport. The official reading, 3 places had an inch, Mishawaka, Winnemac, and actually 1.1 inches in Warsaw. The lowest amount that we've seen, just a ½ inch in Rochester, but nonetheless, everybody got between a ½ inch and 1.1 inches of rain all across the area. So it was a nice soaking rain as expected. If you watched us last night at 6 and 11, we talked about this complex that would come through this morning. Let's go outside and see what our Skyview 16 cameras look like right now. Out at the Blue Chip Casino in Michigan City, looks like the waves are kicking up a little bit there. 80 degrees being reported in that area, 81 in South Bend. Well, the clouds have finally broken and we're seeing more blue sky out there. 81 degrees, relative humidity 58%, a little bit lower than it was yesterday. Northerly wind at 7 miles per hour. Here are the temperatures across the region. Right along the lakeshore, temperatures are in the upper 70s. Everybody else lower to even middle 80s, as you can see. Live Super Doppler 16, if you're going to be heading out this evening, I don't expect anything to pop up. So you should stay dry. At least if you're going to be outdoors this evening. That may not be the case over the next few days, however. We'll check that forecast coming up. Here's the satellite radar combination, and I wanted to show you. This actually started last night. We showed it to you at 11 o'clock. It was in southwestern portions of Minnesota, just starting to develop. The complex started racing eastward, and look where it is now. It has raced almost to the outer banks of North Carolina. So the storms that hit us this morning, almost into the Atlantic Ocean. Here's what the future looks like with 16 Future Track. And the big question is, will any more thunderstorms develop? And it is a chance. Anytime you have a warm front coming in, you can see these nocturnal thunderstorms or thunderstorms that develop at night. And our Future Track model is now showing one complex going to the south of us, which would be good news. Central Indiana is drier than we are now, and one going across to the north of us. There's a chance of something being in here, but not as likely as it was this morning, the way it looks. Warm front comes through shortly after noon, and then the heat blasts back in here. It is going to be a hot, steamy afternoon. With all that humidity in the air, then a chance for thunderstorms tomorrow night. Cold front, though, looks like it comes through on Thursday. There's noon. Watch what happens by 2 p.m. Big line of thunderstorms. These could be heavy or severe, something we'll have to watch on Thursday. Then it starts to clear out. Still a slight chance of a shower or thunderstorm with this secondary cold front coming in on Friday. Here's my Storm Team 16 forecast for all of Michiana for tonight. Variably cloudy, slight chance of a thunderstorm, low temperature down to 68. Tomorrow then hot and humid, maybe a thunderstorm in some spots. High of 94, heat index approaching 100 tomorrow. 76 tomorrow night, so very muggy. There is a chance of another thunderstorm, and then a good chance for a couple of showers and thunderstorms. Could be heavy on Thursday, high of 86. Another chance for a shower or thunderstorm Friday, and some more possibilities early next week. But sandwiched in between there, a nice pleasant weekend with lower humidity and highs with sunshine in the low to mid 80s. So looking like a good weekend, but still some rain in the forecast that we still need.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice timing.
Very good timing. We'll take that every week.
From WNDU, Weather Authority Frank Waugh has your Storm Team 16 forecast.
The interweb is heating up this morning.
Oh, yeah. Pamela,
that's the only thing hot.
Pamela's telling us that there's lots of drifting on US 12 this morning. We're hearing from all sorts of folks that were either at work and had to drive home this morning. It's taken them a long time. One woman only had to drive 2 miles, but the roads weren't plowed at all, and it took her quite a time to get
it took
home.
me about twice as long to get into work. Yeah. Obviously, that was early this morning.
Highway travel 30 mile an hour. I mean, that slows you way down.
But yeah, you can head to Facebook. You can post your report. We're starting to get pictures, and we're going to get many more as the sun comes up. But a few brave souls have ventured outside to actually send us those. Let's take a look at Facebook and show you what is happening this morning. That is about the fastest way. You can share your photos with us or anything that you want to share with us. Reports, road conditions. We even had somebody mention that the lights in their house were flickering a little bit, and possibly even the street lights lights flickering as well, so be careful. Take a look at this one. Melissa posted a picture of her car.
Oh.
If you haven't been outside yet, you know, chances are this is what you're looking at when you get outside. This is her car, seeing plenty of snow on it. This one here, Tom took this picture. Tom, I hope you were stopped while you took this out of your front windshield. Obviously, we want you to be careful if you aren't driving. And Joseph commented on here, Berrien Springs, Michigan, some places have 2 inches, others at least a foot. Most places, though, about 8 inches. If it keeps coming like this, he's estimating that they're going to add another 3 inches in the next 3 to 4 hours. And chances are, Joseph, you are going to be picking up some more of that. And Sheila posted on here as well, saying that her husband works in the Berrien County Road Commission, says don't get out there if you don't have to. And we've got one more picture. We can switch over to the WNDU Facebook page. This is a view out towards, I believe, Elkhart. Look at the road, how it is drifted out there. You've got bumps. You can see the pavement in places. This is just giving you an idea, if you haven't been out and about yet this morning, what you're going to run into. Let's take a look at what is happening outside. We are still tracking snowfall on 16 Doppler max. We're zoomed in right now across St. Joe and Elkhart County. South Bend and Elkhart still seeing some snow, but if you head down towards Lakeville, they're actually getting a little bit of a break. We can zoom things out here using the toolbar to show you who's really getting the bulk of this at this point. The storm system's pulling away, so our southern communities are gradually going to see some of the snow tapering off. Now, that is not the same case for our northern communities up across Berrien and Cass County. There are a huge list of schools closed in both Berrien and Cass County. Some of those on delay. Be careful if you're driving. You guys are going to see more snow throughout the morning. Here's what we're expecting by the time the snow stops falling. The heaviest, as we've been saying all week, is going to be across Berrien and Cass County. Many locations could pick up more than 10 inches, lesser amounts as you head to the south. If you're out and about this morning, 24 degrees. That's the temperature in South Bend. Colder to the south. You put the wind behind it. Many of those wind chill factors down in the single digits. We're tracking it with 16 Future Track. The storm system's trying to pull away, but that's when we see the lake effect that starts kicking into gear. Here it is at 12:30. It starts to shift. Our southern communities not seeing nearly as much through the afternoon. Our 7 o'clock, we could still see it. Future Track painting this wide band of lake effect. It's never this wide. So we're going to see smaller bands coming through here. 10 o'clock tonight, it could still be snowing, but then overnight tonight into the early morning hours, it shifts north and really tapers off. Just a few flurries. Saturday, Future Track is overdoing this. We do expect some flurry activity, but not a major snow system by any means. Sunday, dry. We might actually even see a little bit of sunshine. Here's your 7-day forecast. 23 degrees today. You put the wind behind that, it is going to be brutal. And that's going to be the same story tonight. Wind chill values tonight down around 0 with an overnight low of 11. 21 on Saturday, 28 on Sunday. And if you're tired of the snow already, good news as we kick off Monday. Monday generally doesn't bring a lot of good news, but we are looking at rainfall on Monday and temperatures above freezing, likely going to melt some of that, but we can pick up more snow Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week. And as always, we encourage you to go to Facebook, your page, my page, WNDU's page.
Click like, and then you can just post. And I love Richard's method of measuring the snow this morning. He says the snow is past the first joint of our dog's front legs. That is over 6 inches. We live by Horizon School in Granger. I bet he sent the dog out there and just go past.
Poor dog. You go measure. I'll stay inside.
All right, it's about that. That's great.
Thanks for sharing.
No matter how you measure it, do let us know.
Well, it's not a fun situation when you have showers and thunderstorms moving through the area, especially when they are potentially as strong as these. The situation we have, we're watching these storms that have been developing out ahead of the main line, and now we're seeing some kind of combination. They're coming together, and when you have a situation like that, it can get even worse, and you can actually start to see some rotation in those. And we haven't been seeing at least a couple of rotation markers that have been showing up on 16 Doppler max. You see a weak rotation that's showing up here in parts of western LaPorte County. Now, these storms are moving pretty quickly, especially this main part of the line, moving to the east at about 50-ish miles per hour, packing winds potentially up to 80 miles per hour. This is a serious situation, folks, where we could see some widespread damaging winds, especially now that these two systems have come together. Things are strengthening. It's not a good situation. Hail is a possibility. Now we're actually starting to see some tight rotations. So if you're over in LaPorte County, I would definitely, you might want to head to the basement at this point, because Obviously, even if there's no rotation, if the potential for 80-mile-per-hour winds, that's enough to cause some damage and maybe even some structural damage as well. So we're going to keep an eye on these storms. It's a whole line. It's pushing to the east, so it's going to be in South Bend probably close to the end of the show. We're going to start seeing at least this main line. We're already seeing the stuff that was moving up from the south. So this is not a good situation for Michiana. Definitely pay attention to the weather. We've got alerts also posting on my Facebook page, Cindy Clausen, WNDU. So we're going to be here as long as we need to and let you know about the storm and the warning information. The severe thunderstorm watch goes through the evening hours. All right, let's take a look at some of that rain we are seeing right now in South Bend, and it could be coming down in buckets as these storms come through. We are looking at the potential. I've seen reports out west of anywhere from 1 to 3 inches, and they even have some flood warnings over towards the Chicagoland area. So we're going to have to watch out for that as well. So not a fun evening across Michiana. The good thing is that it's going to cool us down. That's the only positive thing about this. All right, let's take a look then at our temperatures around the region. There's our relative humidity at 64%. Winds right now gusting to 23 miles per hour. Of course, when you have a storm coming through, those winds will increase. All right, here's a look at the temperatures. We had some rain moving through Warsaw, Goshen. That cooled those temperatures down into the mid and upper 70s, and we're likely to see these temperatures really dropping as that front moves on through. So the wider picture of the satellite radar composite is going to show that we have been watching these storms really develop. They were kind of forming, and we've been watching them since they were over towards the Mississippi. That's when they really picked up some steam, and now we are coming into the northwestern part of our area. What's causing this is everything's out ahead of this front. The front's pushing through as we get into the overnight hours. So the main severe threat is this evening, but we could still see a few showers and thunderstorms into the overnight as well. Those are not likely to be severe, but they could be bringing us some more rain.
Here's my Storm Team 16 forecast for all of Michiana. If you're heading out to a high school football game this evening, windy and raw, there will be showers west of US 31, but most areas east of there will stay dry. But look at the temperatures falling to 46 degrees.
How long will it keep coming down, and how much are we going to get? Storm Team 16 Chief Meteorologist Mike Hoffman joins us with the latest.
It's still going to continue tonight, Terry. We have 2 main bands right now on 16 Doppler Max, and you can see the main one is really impressive. This goes from just offshore Muskegon all the way down to just north of Fort Wayne, and you can kind of see the bulk of that heading right across eastern Cass County, Michigan, and also down into LaGrange County. Secondary one there, you can see west side of South Bend down to just north of Plymouth, and these have been shifting around. So as we head through the evening, this is what we're looking at.
The people who were out today were those who were either going to winter sports or people making sure that those few people that were out on the roads could get to their location safely. While many of you were enjoying a day off and sleeping in, they were out early.
All our trucks were ready pre-weekend and loaded, so when the stuff that came down, we were able to act, and we were able to keep up on it this morning.
NewsCenter 16's Joel Skipper is live in South Bend, giving us that close-up look at just how bad it is out there. Good morning, Joel.
Good morning, Tricia. You can see in your screen the wind right now is going from west to east with the snow. The roads, especially the intersections, turning into slush. Earlier today, even about 45 minutes ago, that wasn't the situation. It is right now. I talked to dispatchers in Berrien County and St. Joe County along the toll road. They said the worst part of this, this storm that we're getting seems like was yesterday. Late yesterday afternoon, early evening, that's when they had most of the accidents. Not a lot of accidents, about 16 accidents on the toll road between yesterday afternoon and now, a lot of them just being slide-offs.
NewsCenter 16's Catherine Rufiner is live in Niles. And Catherine, a lot of people had to brave the roads to get to work today.
That's right, Terry. The snow was coming down when we talked to you earlier at noon today, and it's still coming down now. And people are doing okay on their commute home right now.
Well, the snow will be winding down as we head through the overnight hours, but you can see on 16 Doppler Max still some pretty decent bands. In fact, from Paw Paw there right into Cassopolis to Wajak, that's a pretty decent band that's moving off southeast. Another one kind of weak in there as it came across Niles, but there's still energy over southern Lake Michigan, so still coating to 2 inches in the metro areas, but parts of southwest Michigan probably another 2 to 4. Here's what we've seen so far. 8.4 inches officially at the South Bend Regional Airport. Those thunderstorms got stronger, but they also caused more damage as they went to the southeast. So Kosciuszko County got hit pretty good. Not enough rain, though, in a wide enough area for me to stop wearing my ugly ties for rain. We'll be wearing another one coming up tonight at 11. If you'd like to send one in, send me your name and town to the station here or drop it by.
As we said, trees have fallen all around the area, and one landed right on top of an ice cream truck in Elkhart. Bill Holly parked his Billy Bear ice cream truck right beneath this tree. The tree fell in the cab during the storm. A Billy Bear employee was inside. She was taken to the hospital with back pain, but fortunately no serious injuries. But the close call leaves owner Billy Holly on edge.
Well, yeah, I'm shaking. So if that's telling you anything, because I don't want nobody getting hurt. We're out here to make a living, nothing else. I hope this never happens again to nobody.
It's happened about half an hour.
And stay with us as we continue to cover storm damage and repairs throughout the night. Well, as we've been telling you, severe weather did tear through Michiana. Barbara Harrington's been outside today to let us know how the cleanup is going. Barbara?
Well, most surprisingly, at least here in South Bend, crews have been getting out to neighborhoods very quickly like this one. We're in the 1800 block of Brookfield in South Bend's north side. And as you can see, they've moved most of this brush and debris out of the street, so at least it's safe for drivers. Let me show you some of the damage this tree did, though. It came down on top of this van just moments before residents were about to get inside and head out for dinner. Luckily, they weren't hurt. We're seeing a similar story across Michiana tonight. Earlier today, over on Woodward, a tree fell on top of a car there as well. That's where the detour is set up for the construction that's happening along Portage. That means all that heavy traffic routed through that neighborhood was blocked by the tree, but cleanup crews have been through there. Luckily, no power lines came down, and the only damage done was to the resident's SUV.
You know, I think I'm very fortunate that it didn't do anything to any of the windows. Don't look broken, but they're just body damage, and I have no idea how to estimate it. The roof, the hood, the fender.
Now, if you have power lines, trees down in your neighborhood, it's sunny out, crews are getting out to clean those up. If you haven't called yet, call, depending on where you live, the street department, code enforcement, or your power provider to let them know that you have some lines down that need to be taken care of. And like we said, at least here in South Bend, it looks like they're getting out to those neighborhoods pretty quickly.
And we can see that tree behind you that's down. Barbara, how many residents are without power right now?
Well, we're told right now around 15,000 NIPSCO customers have no power, more than 11,000 I&M customers. So it's going to be a long night ahead for crews, and hopefully they'll get power back on for most residents of Michiana.
Cold, icy drinks. Meteorologist Frank Waugh is at the St. Joseph County 4-H Fairgrounds this morning. Good morning, Frank.
Hey, good morning. It's warm outside, and guess what? I found a nice building in here. It's quite comfortable. Lots to look at. Check this out. I found the rockets back here. Very, very cool to see all the variations that these kids have made and all the hard work that they've put into it. If you're thinking about heading out today, let's talk about your forecast as you head out the door this morning. Maybe you're thinking about heading up to the lake shore, maybe going to take a dip in Lake Michigan. Rip current risk is in the low category. Few storms eventually could be strong, potentially severe. We're going to keep an eye on those late this evening into the overnight hours. Mike Hoffman will be in to track anything that does fire up. Your 7-day forecast showing 90s through the weekend, 92 today. Not as hot as yesterday. We hit 100 degrees in South Bend yesterday. We'll be about 8 degrees cooler than that. There's that slight chance for showers and storms tonight. 90s through the weekend. And then as we get into next week, the 4th of July, knocking on the door. Temperatures in the 90s there, and it wouldn't be a holiday in Michiana without just that slight chance for showers and thunderstorms. As I mentioned, we are live out here at the St. Joe County Fair. We've gone from the displays in the exhibition hall out to the midway out here.
They were real strong over the Chicagoland area. Then it kind of split right over Marshall County, went to the north, went to the south. Fulton County got a good deal of rain, but you can see everything is just well to the east of us here in Michiana now, so we should see a fairly tranquil evening across the area. So as far as our headlines, we're going to be seeing mild and muggy conditions continuing. We might even start off with a little fog tomorrow morning with this added rainfall. More storms are possible, particularly as we get into tomorrow afternoon. We'll have to watch that again. And we do have some hot temperatures all across the board as we head through the next 7 days. I'll have more details on your forecast coming up in just a few minutes. Joel?
A portion of Chapin Street is closed after lightning struck a tree, causing it to fall into the street. It happened near the Studebaker Museum between Jefferson and Washington Streets. The homeowners were working in the backyard when they saw a flash of lightning and heard a big boom. The more than 100-year-old tree in their front yard.
You know, there's still 13,000 people in Berrien County without electricity, another 1,200 in Van Buren County. And these winds were strong enough to cancel classes in school districts like St. Joe, Benton Harbor, and New Buffalo.
The size of the tree is pretty good size because it's almost...
At 120 feet, it was one of the tallest trees in the neighborhood, but it was no match for whatever it was that blew through here early this morning.
All of a sudden, we had a big bang, and it sounded like a bomb went off. And we got out of bed and looked outside, and here was the tree laying on top of our house.
All right, Mark, thanks a lot. Well, how do you like them apples? The high winds came shortly after the stage had been set for this year's version of the Niles Four Flags Apple Festival. High winds and tents apparently don't mix. It wasn't long before the big top had been toppled.
I don't know how many miles per hour they were, but they were impressive. The things that they blew, the bleachers, one of the bleachers that picked up and turned around, and the tent poles that they pulled out, and the tent poles they put right through the roof of some of the tents.
It's hoped that the second time will be a charm. The tents have been set up again and the festival reopened at 3 this afternoon. The entertainment will start at 7.
I would say just a tad, Maureen, not a lot, because we are still seeing gusts to 30, 35 miles per hour, whereas earlier we were seeing gusts to 40, 45 miles per hour and even higher than that in a few spots. So things have died down just ever so slightly, but I would still call it a pretty raw night. And you can see, if you're going to a high school football game west of US 31, well, there's a band of lake effect rain showers there. They are falling apart to the east, however, so it looks drier in our eastern areas. Here's the way things shape up in my first word. We are looking at a low temperature tonight, 40 degrees. No doubt this has been a strange week across Michiana. We had the Napanee tornado strike out of the blue on Tuesday. We had a couple of funnel cloud reports on Wednesday. We had the severe thunderstorm warning last night in northern Berrien County, although no damage from that. But then we get damage today from just the winds. And look at them crashing over the pier at the Blue Chip Casino. Skyview 16 showing at 51 degrees right now in Michigan City. And it is nasty along the lakeshore. South Bend, we're at 51 degrees right now. We've been flipping all over the place on the allergy situation this week as well. One day it's much better, one day it's much worse. Well, this is exactly what I was hoping not to have to say at 11 o'clock. The lake effect clouds quickly went away once the sun set. And while there's a chance they could come back, because they are still off to the north of us, I'm not real hopeful. This time of night, we typically don't see that happen. So I have the feeling we're going to be clear to partly cloudy the rest of the night. Freeze warning, no question about it, and I think it's probably would be a hard freeze warning because I think lows are going to range from 25 to 29 degrees. Now,
The National Weather Service is conducting its annual tornado drill today across Indiana. If you missed it this morning, you just heard it there. The first test tornado warning already sounded just after 10 a.m. and the second will be issued later this evening between 7:30 and 8 p.m. The Weather Service will activate their emergency alert system and local tornado sirens will in turn be activated. The yearly statewide exercise helps schools, emergency managers, and the public prepare for the severe weather season. Thankfully, no severe weather here today. In fact, it looks like we broke another record, right, Mike?
and that makes 8 straight. Pretty incredible second longest streak of hot weather that we have ever seen across Michiana. So that's right, Kevin. We have to go right to 16 Doppler max and see the leading edge of some showers and thunderstorms, another batch coming across Illinois. This at the moment is nothing like the one that came through this afternoon, but nonetheless it is one that we expect to hold together. You will notice the heaviest coming due east. It should mainly stay just south of South Bend the way it looks right now. There is a lot of lightning in these systems, though, as it is moving off to the east. So here's the way things shape up. We did get 52/100ths of an inch of rain. That's the most we have had in almost a month. We have to go back to May 31st to find that much rain before. As we head between now and sunrise, by 1 a.m., some of those thunderstorms will be coming into our western areas. Good chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms, probably ending in some light rain by 4 a.m. and 68 degrees by the time you get up tomorrow morning with a little bit of cloud and sunshine mixed. We'll have the rest of your weekend forecast coming up. Well, last night we showed you some statistics on how we have had a mild winter so far, but yet most of the winter has been cold. So I wanted to show you this on a weather map, and you can see the large area of orange. That's representing above normal temperatures for most of the lower 48, even into southern Canada. But during the month of January, most of northern Canada and especially Alaska, it was a brutal January in Alaska, was below normal. You can see Central America down into South America below normal. And look on the other side of the world. Europe was near normal, although they're now into deep freeze. Most of Africa, northern and western Africa, southern and eastern Europe was below normal through the month of January. Again, it's turned even colder in that area. Parts of Iran was above normal and a few parts in northern Russia above normal, but most of the eastern Asia area, China, India, Southeast Asia, below normal. So it has been a cold, typical La Nina winter across most of the world, or around most of the world, but again, the largest orange area or above normal area sitting right smack dab over us. So if you don't like winter, we've gotten lucky this winter. Let's go outside and see what our Skyview 16 cameras look like out at the airport. It's
had a chance to head down to Plymouth, Indiana, do a little school talk down there. Some great fourth graders at see if I can say this right, Menominee. I always mess it up.
No,
here's a great picture. It's a little bit dark, but you can see how many students were there. We had a great time down there in Plymouth. This is all part of kind of my Future Forecasters talk series that we do, 3rd through 5th grade. Shoot me an email, frank.watt@wndu.com if you're a teacher and interested in me coming and talking weather.
And I visited Model Elementary School today to speak to some of the 3rd graders in Goshen, Indiana. Had a great time there talking about my job and showing them some things that we do to get a weather forecast all prepared. Hopefully they had a good time. I had a good time being there.
Our own weather authority, Frank Waugh, is out in Goshen this morning, making sure your weather radios are programmed and all ready to go. Frank?
Hey, and good morning. We are live out here at the Walgreens in Goshen. We're out here on the corner of Pike Street as you come into town. We're programming weather radios. We've had a ton of people come by. We just had somebody stop by, actually, that heard us on the air. They are from Arizona, traveling up here in their RV. They wanted to stop by specifically to get one of these portable weather radios, and that is a fantastic thing to have if you are traveling, maybe not real familiar with the area. You don't have to worry about programming those if you're out and about. So we've got the desktop models. We've got the portable ones. Those are also programmable. Mike Pennington joining me now again from Elkhart County Emergency Management. You've gone through all phases of weather radios. Tell me about how the old ones work compared to how these ones work, for your household.
Right. Well, the old ones, they would catch any of the warnings that came through, all the watches and warnings, and after a while, frankly, people would come along and they'd say, I'm tired of hearing the thing go off. So
Good morning, Joel. We are down here in Plymouth at the Walgreens store, and we are excited to be programming a lot of radios this morning. And I'm sure that yesterday's weather probably is helping people to remember that, yes, we do get rain and severe weather here in Michiana. And I am joined by Clyde Avery. You are with the Marshall County Emergency Management. And tell me why it is so important for people to have weather radios in their home.
It's a valuable tool for them to receive emergency warning information from the National Weather Service about dangerous conditions that are impacting our area.
And do you think that yesterday's storms has an impact? Are you seeing maybe more folks than we did last year?
Yeah, I think we've had a good turnout so far this morning, and I anticipate we're going to have more people show up because of the storms that have rolled through.
And that does allow you to take it in the car with you, and it will search for the nearest weather radio frequency and give you the warnings when you're traveling. You can be going down the interstate.
That's what we need. And we're very conscious of the weather. We've seen a few tornadoes, and it's just frightening to see them and what they do.
No, it really is. Obviously, I've seen a lot of the damage as well. Never been in one myself, thank goodness. But
nor have we, but we've been in within a half a mile of it. So it's frightening. It's frightening.
Well, good. I'm glad you came out and got your weather radio all set up.
I'm so very grateful for getting it set up for me. Thank you very much.
All right. Have a good rest of your day. And you can see we're starting to get real busy here, but hey, we're going to be here till noon today.
One of my earliest memories is watching Star Wars in a drive-in theater. The adventure and the fascination with space kind of stemmed from movies, and then you learn, wow, we're actually doing this stuff. My dad took us camping quite often, and we'd also sleep out in the backyard, and we'd look for satellites and shooting stars.
John Edwards always had a dream of flying into space.
Just to keep it moving.
I met with him at the Penn Harris-Madison Planetarium, where he reflects on his childhood fascination.
And here's some of the things that, as a kid I would see, and it would just blow my mind. Like, oh, we've walked on the moon. There's a you can look at the moon and see it, and you just think, how could we possibly have done that? I mean, astronauts were like rock stars to me.
Venus!
There was an astronomy course, and it was taught by Art Klinger. We'd come over here and learn about stars and get to hang out in the planetarium. And on weekends, there were planetarium shows. We'd get extra credit if we'd come and help. Be careful.
Edwards pursued his dreams at Purdue University. And actually, I met up with him the first time in the year 2000 at the Johnson Space Center for an experiment on a zero-gravity plane.
It doesn't quite feel like pitching over a roller coaster. No.
Aside from having fun on what is known as the Vomit Comet, Edwards and his Purdue team conducted their engineering experiment in zero gravity.
That experiment was comparing these two different propellant management device technologies to watch how fluid arranged itself in these propellant tanks. That's what we were trying to simulate. And now we have a capsule called the Dragon. It's a space capsule. Off the ground. You know, very similar to the Apollo space capsule. And there are propellant tanks in that capsule, and they use propellant management devices similar to the ones we were testing.
After years of hard work and dedication, John Edwards, the engineer, is fulfilling his dream. He works for SpaceX in California. The company is now preparing to be the first commercial company in history to send a spacecraft to the International Space Station.
Growing up as a kid, I actually would push my bed up against my window so I could open it at night and lean my head out and look up at the sky.
I recently met up with John Edwards at the PHM Planetarium, where his dreams of space travel were encouraged. He later went on to Purdue, becoming an engineer.
I knew that becoming an astronaut was going to be very difficult and most likely wasn't going to happen, but I knew that as long as I was in that field, you know, I'd be able to apply my interest in physics and science and space and do something pretty cool. Purdue has a great rocket lab. They actually, you know, test little rocket engines. So I went and I concentrated on propulsion.
Today, he is blasting off rockets in California at a company called SpaceX.
I just feel very blessed, you know, to be able to get into the company in the early stages.
And Edwards is part of a company that is growing fast. SpaceX only started in 2002 and now has over 1,600 employees.
We need to have spacecraft operate like airplanes do today. They're able to take off, land, turn around, and take off again. Once we're able to do that, we'll see more and more frequent travels to space.
And a lot of work needs to be done to reach the company's big goal.
Watching the capsule dock with the station from our Mission Control Center in California will be, you know, one of the highlights of my life.
This past school year, 19 teams were challenged to design, build, and operate a cost-effective solar-powered home. Today, one of the award-winning homes is at Purdue University and is ready for its first full-time residents.
This house was called the In-Home, which is short for Indiana Home. It was designed to fit in a typical neighborhood.
Students at Purdue University are getting educated on their field trip, learning about a home designed and built by some of their own.
When you're standing in the kitchen area, you can tell it's really the centralized location of the home.
McKenna Regan was the In-Home's communication manager, and she graduated from John Adams High School in South Bend.
We wanted to represent that it wasn't just cornfields here in Indiana, that we had the ability and the brains and the experience to really make a home that people from all around would really relate to when they walked in.
7 of the 13 Purdue colleges contributed to the concepts in the home and helped students develop team-building skills.
Do the marketing, to build the home, to communicate about it, to cook meals in a home. We did all of that in the competition.
So we've got 27 solar modules.
Jordan Walpe, the engineering manager, helped to capture the power of the sun.
It's an environmental thing, you know. We're not burning electricity or creating electricity from the coal at the power plant. We're creating it on our roof and using it throughout the neighborhood.
The competition's neighborhood was the National Mall in Washington, D.C., helping put 2,500 miles on the In-Home that has been built and rebuilt 4 times.
We also had one of the only homes that looked like a home from the outside, and we were one of the first to have our house pass all inspections during the construction phase. So people were looking at us like, who are they? What are they coming here to do? And I want to see that home.
In 10 days, nearly 19,000 people saw the home, including the Secretary of Energy. He had a chance to see one grad student's patent-pending research project called a bio wall.
So air that's going back to the central heating and cooling system.
If you remember from 5 years ago, all the homes from here down to what is now the church, all the telephone poles, there were huge trees. Everything was just taken out here.
Destroyed anything in its path where it touched down, got it.
Also, on State Road 19, in what was once a school, children were actually playing inside as the tornado hit.
They were playing volleyball and stuff. You would think that a tornado hitting the roof like that, it would just bust it all to pieces. No, it just picked it up and turned it around.
I got to the opening of the doorway and I heard the door open. Quite large piece of furniture was flying across the room. We huddled in the corner here. The cinder blocks from the firewall were falling down all around us, and God's protection was just marvelous.
Strong faith, good friends.
Yep.
Good family.
I think that's the thing I remember the most, is how the community of faith just kind of banded together, and I mean, the whole community banded together, but it was kind of nice to see that.
The Kaufman family farm has been planting and harvesting for over 42 years. Barry started full-time work with his dad Steve in 1984, and now his son AJ is working by his side.
I don't think there's any better way for a family to be together than a farm.
On this fall day, they're harvesting soybeans, and in this irrigated field, they're actually yielding a normal crop.
Yields at 87 bushel, but the moisture's 16, so they're wet. We'll have to dry them, but looks like rain coming, so we're trying to push for all we can.
And the non-irrigated beans also did okay because of the late summer rains. From March until July 13th, the South Bend Regional Airport was 7.5 inches below normal for rain. Then we made up over 5 inches of that by August 31st. However, the rains didn't start here in eastern Elkhart County until 2 weeks later.
Maybe 10 bushel below the average, but that's even at that, we're just really tickled that it's that close. We thought they'd be more than that off.
But when it comes to corn, it did not produce as well.
Well, in this area, that's pretty much a typical ear right there.
Yeah, you've got like 6 kernels.
Yeah.
That's a little better one.
Yeah. They're typically, they're a little bit longer. They'll be, about 36 kernels long, and you like to have them about 18 to 20 kernels around.
After 39 years in the field, Kip Tom knows his corn. The family's 8 generations have grown a business that includes 16,000 acres.
You put a lot of money out here in a crop. We'll have $750, $800 invested in each and every acre of corn.
And it's more than just money and hard work that helps to keep yields up.
But we like the 20-inch rows. It does a couple things for us. It shades the ground sooner, and we have less evaporation from the sun on a summer like this. And so typically, our yields won't fall off as much. It makes full use of the soil this way. The roots are competing, going clear against each other, and there's no gaps. We've really become to embrace 20-inch rows, and a lot of producers have.
Auto steer capability with row sense technology.
GPS technology on today's combines and tractors is also cutting costs and time in the field.
Let's adapt right now. So we can go in there, the algorithm's already in place, come up with a new prescription and send it out to the tractor and change it on the go.
And that time can be spent in the office to gauge the weather and look for new ways to produce higher yields.
It used to be, before we had some of the advanced genetics and biotechnology we use today, that we would assume that we needed 22 inches of rainfall to produce a bumper crop. We have proven now we can do that with 12 to 14 inches under normal temperatures.
But this year was anything but normal.
I'll rank this drought the most severe of my generation, my lifetime.
You may remember learning about the New Madrid earthquakes in science class. There were 3 main shocks between December 1811 and February 1812, all with a magnitude of 7.0 or greater that were felt.
When Michelle Langford needs water from her barrel, she simply opens the faucet to fill up her watering cans.
Actually was thrilled at the very beginning. A couple of rains and it was full. And what more can you ask for? It feels like a water savings account.
That savings account filled up quickly. A typical house with a 1,200 square foot roof will drain about 750 gallons of water for every inch that falls. South Bend averages about 40 inches of precipitation a year. That's 30,000 gallons of runoff from your roof.
A rain barrel helps keep rain out of the sewer system. It allows you a place to store it until you can put it to good use on your yard.
I always love to look and check out after the rainfall to see if we're back up to level, and it almost always is.
I latest update at 6:30. If there's a storm out there, I'm just like, oh my goodness. I just love all the action. I like storms. I like tracking storms. I have kind of been interested in weather, like a little, but not much. But since this started, I've been really interested.
These Eisenhower Elementary students in Warsaw are part of a very special group that they formed on their own. They call themselves the Weather Trackers.
A couple friends got together to like talk about wouldn't it be cool if we could have like a website about weather and stuff. And then they just asked their friends to join, and then we started meeting, and then we started getting into a website, and it just grew from there.
The group of 10 meets weekly, and they created and maintain the website IndianaWeathermen.com, a site that has weather updates, severe weather information, and now a link to their latest tool.
We have a weather lab, like a miniature weather lab, up in the outside the school. We can see the humidity on it, the dew point, the temperature, the wind speed.
You can also see how important this weather lab is. It was given in honor of a member of the group that's no longer with them.
Austin would have he would have loved this. It was awesome to him.
Weather tracker Austin McCleary battled cancer since the age of 3 and passed away in July.
He was kind of like the backbone that got us started and kept us going.
He was so excited to be a part of the Weather Trackers. That's what Austin was all about, just seeing people come together and for a purpose. And he loved technology. He loved any media, computer, weather, all of that.
Austin. Today I will give you the news. Indiana takes...
As you can see in this broadcast, Austin didn't let cancer stop him from being part of the Weather Trackers.
His friends were a huge part of his life and his family, and it breathed life into him to be around those guys and to be around family. So yeah, every time they met, he made sure, feeling good or not good, he would be there.
Austin's legacy lives on. As the Weather Trackers had a chance to play with their new equipment, meteorologist Mike Sabonis from the National Weather Service fielded questions and shared knowledge with the excited group as parents and teachers looked on.
They have set all this up for Austin's sake. They have set up all this stuff for us to do our weather on.
What really makes me proud of them is loss is part of life. I mean, we all experience things that are unhappy, and unfortunate things occur in life. These kids have been able to take something unfortunate and have some natural therapy by studying something that is good for everyone.
The 6th grade Weather Trackers will move on to middle school next year, but the weather station will stay at Eisenhower.
It is very special. It really is. It brings tears of joy to me to see that Austin's legacy keeps going. And the story doesn't end. His story doesn't end here with his life here.
As far away as the East Coast, there were also thousands of aftershocks, some quite strong themselves.
All 3 of these earthquakes affected a very broad area. Of course, chimneys, nature.
There weren't many people living in the area at the time of the earthquakes. The structures that were there were small and looked a lot more like this log cabin. But many geologists believe that there will be another big earthquake in the New Madrid seismic zone.
It's something we won't be able to see again in our lifetime. The transit of Venus will occur on Tuesday as the planet Venus moves in front of the sun, and it won't happen again for another 105 years. Besides being a cool thing to see, the transit has some important history.
The transit of Venus is significant historically because astronomers use the transit of Venus to measure the size of our solar system.
You had to look through this little tube
And yeah, well, it's pretty cool. I've never seen it before, but it's just so cool.
People like to look up at the sky because it's not something you normally get to see. And so when you have instruments like the telescope, it kind of brings out a sense of exploration in people, and it's something that they're not going to be able to ever see again.